For today's lesson, we are going to discuss about synthesizing literature, which is part of Chapter 2, Review of Related Literature.
Novels, instantaneous.
In his synthesis, it says, McCarnell and Lawton 2014 confirmed that one of the good characteristics of a high-quality biofuel should have a pH value from 8 to 9. And in his conclusion in Chapter 5, it says, a high-quality biofuel should have a pH value from 8 to 9. Our second way to synthesize is to draw conclusion about the findings in literature to address the specific objectives. What is our specific objective? It is to determine the pH value of a high-quality biofuel. Look at the conclusion. A high-quality biofuel should have a pH value from 8 to 9. There is relevance, right? And look at the synthesis. The underlined words or the underlined sentence. A high-quality biofuel should have a pH value from 8 to 9. Always remember that when you are making a synthesis, when you are synthesizing, the conclusion that you're going to draw should be aligned with the specific objectives which can be addressed to the specific objectives. And of course, it should be parallel enough with the findings in the related literature. Okay, next question. What is the main goal of writing synthesis? Okay, let us have this. However, there are factors that have been suggested to contribute to students' difficulty in understanding and applying control of variables that include developmental related requirements. In Helder 2008, Kuhn and Angelieve 2006. Complexity of task demands, degree of student self-directness, and the quality of instructional supports provided to students, Ross 2008. For example, research has shown that students often do not learn to control variables without explicit instructions, Snyder et al. 2004. The application of control of variables is inconsistent and influenced by the content and the context of the problems encountered, Lawson 2005, Dugan, Johnson, and Gott 2006. In a review of data from the National Curriculum Council project in the United Kingdom, found that students' ability to identify variables declined with complexity of the task. In a study of 7th grade students' science process skills in designing an experiment, German, Aram, and Burke 2006 found that less than half of the students' experimental designs held non-manipulated variables constant, German et al. 2006, hypothesized that students' performance of these science process skills was related to a variety of factors, including their comprehension of tasks and familiarity with, and so on and so forth. Now, what have you noticed in the highlighted words? Like in Hilder 2008, Kuhn and Angeliv 2006, Ross 2008, Snyder et al. 2004, Lawson 2005, Dugan, Johnson and Gott 2006, German, Aram and Burke 2006, German et al. 2006. These are the names of the authors, right? One of the main goals of writing synthesis is to put together the ideas of all authors from varied sources, just like what we have in our example. Okay, how about this one? In the study of Ochegbu et al. 2015, it was found out that some of the hard topics that are involved includes alcohols, gas laws, mass volume relationship, and basic concepts in organic compounds that includes hydrocarbons. Likewise, Agogo and Onda 2014 revealed that the concepts related to activity series of metals and hydrogen, ionic theory, organic compounds including hydrocarbons, alcohols, carboxylic acids, and esters are the topics that are very hard to understand among the learners. This result is in agreement with those of Gimo 2010 and Agway 2008 in their separate studies. Both authors revealed that senior high school students perceive some chemistry concepts very hard to understand, and it only connotes that the learners have, and so on and so forth. What have you noticed from the statements of these authors? Okay, let us have Ochegbu. It says that it was found out that some topics are hard. Okay, let us have Agogo and Onda 2014. They mentioned that the topics are very hard to understand among learners. However, Jimo and Agway, they also said that students perceive some chemistry concepts are very hard to understand. If we are going to analyze the statements from these authors, they only have one reviewed, which is there are topics that are so hard for the students. For example, another main goal of writing synthesis is to identify the similarities and differences in the studies that you reviewed. Okay, next question. What is synthesis? Synthesis is a discussion that draws from one or more sources. Just like what we've mentioned in the earlier part, that a synthesis is a result of an integration of what you heard, read, or your ability to use this learning to develop and support a key thesis or argument. However, there are factors that have been suggested to contribute to students' difficulty in understanding and applying control of variables that include developmental related requirements, in Helder 2008, Kuhn and Angeliv 2006, complexity of task demands, degree of student self-directness, and the quality of instructional supports provided to students. For example, research has shown that students often do not learn to control variables without explicit instruction. The ability of control of variables is inconsistent and influenced by the content and the context of the problems encountered. In a review of data from the National Curriculum Council project in the United Kingdom, found that students' ability to identify variables declined with complexity of task. In a study of 7th grade students' science process skills in designing an experiment, found that less than half of the students' experimental designs held non-manipulated variables constant. German et al. Hypothesized that students' performance of these science process skills was related to a variety of factors including their comprehension of tasks and familiarity. And you can see that there is a discussion and it only draws from one or more sources. So in making synthesis, always remember that you are discussing from one or more sources. What are the types of synthesis? Do you have any idea? Okay, let's find out. Two types of synthesis is explanatory synthesis and argument synthesis. What is the difference between the two? Okay, let us have this example. According to the study of Kong Tam, Bis, and Harongbam 2011 about the nutritional properties of bamboo shoots, bamboo is popularly known for their industrial uses. A lesser-known fact of bamboo is the usage of its young shoots as a food that can be consumed fresh, fermented, or canned. The juvenile shoots are not delicious but are rich in nutrient components, mainly proteins, carbohydrates, minerals, and fiber, and are low in fat and sugars. In addition, they contain polystyrtrols and a high amount of fiber that can be labeled as nutraceuticals or natural medicines that are attracting the attention of health advocates and scientists alike. The shoots are free from residual toxicity because they grow without the application of fertilizers. Modern research has discovered that bamboo shoots have a number of health benefits, including improving appetite and digestion, weight loss, and curing cardiovascular diseases and cancer. The shoots are reported to have anti-cancer, antibacterial, and antiviral activity. Shoots have antioxidant capacity due to the existence of the phenolic compounds. Okay. Can you now classify what type of synthesis is this? Is it explanatory synthesis or argument synthesis? Okay, let's find out. If your answer is explanatory synthesis, then your answer is correct. What do we mean by explanatory synthesis? When we say explanatory synthesis, it helps readers to understand a topic. Writers explain when they divide a subject into its component parts and present them to the reader in a clear and orderly fashion. An explanatory synthesis essay does not aim to argue for a specific point. Rather, it aims to present facts in an orderly and understandable manner. In writing an explanatory synthesis essay, a writer must divide the subject in its component parts accordingly. Okay, let's have the second example. Brand 2017 revealed that many students perceive mole concept, calculations involving chemical formulas and equations, gas laws, electronic structure, electronic configuration, and the periodic table, as well as the periodic variation in atomic properties are difficult. Difficulties in these topics are perceived among the respondents may be attributed to the nature of the concept, since all of these topics require abstract reasoning, analytical, and numeracy skills. These skills in general were not enhanced among students in accordance to the findings of Agogo and Onda 2014 as well as Samba and Eriba 2012. What have you noticed in their statements? There is a quiet argumentation in the statements of these authors. Have you noticed it? Now, how can you classify this kind of synthesis? If your answer in our number 2 example is argument synthesis, then your answer is correct. The purpose of an argument synthesis is for you to present your own point of view, supported of course by relevant facts, drawn from sources, and presented in a logical manner. The thesis of an argumentative essay is debatable. It makes a proposition about which reasonable people could disagree, and any two writers working with the same source materials could conceive of and support other opposite theses. That is argument synthesis. Okay, how to write synthesis? Another question in this topic. Okay, first, you have to connect the findings of the past with the findings of the present and show the similarities and differences. Let us have this example. Protein is an indispensable requirement for the growth and maintenance of all biological organisms. Every cell in the body needs protein to carry out the metabolic actions that sustain us. The amount of protein required for normal health depends on many factors, mainly body weight, age, physical activity, health condition, and the environment. Growing children, pregnant and lactating women require more protein containing between 1.49 grams and 4.4 grams with an average of 2.65 grams per 100 grams of fresh bamboo shoots. In the studies of 14 bamboo species, the protein content in juvenile shoots range from 2.31 to 3.72 grams 100 grams per fresh weight. It is according to Sundriel 2001. Shoots contain 17 amino acids, 8 of which are essential to human body, according to Q 2019. The recommended dietary allowance of protein for adult body weights is 0.8 gram per kilogram. In general, 1 gram protein provides 4.2 kilocalories of energy to the body. Consuming the shoots will supply a generous amount of protein that provides energy. Okay, let us have another example. Brent 2017 revealed that many students perceive mole concept calculations involving chemical formulas and equations, gas laws, electronic structure, electronic configuration, and the periodic table, as well as periodic variation in atomic properties are difficult. Many students perceive that it is because of abstract reasoning, analytical, and numeracy skills. Take a look at the underlined words: revealed, perceived, and perceive. Write synthesis. The findings taken from the related literature are presented in the past tense, and the present tense form of the verbs is used in the discussion of the RRLS. Always remember that. Okay, let us have this example again. Take a look at the italicized words. Brent 2017 revealed that many students perceive the mole concept calculations involving chemical formulas and equations, gas laws, electronic structure, electronic configuration, and the periodic table, as well as periodic variation in atomic properties are difficult. Okay, these are the findings that are taken from the related literature. And take a look at the verb used in this statement: revealed, perceive. Always remember that the findings taken from the related literature are presented in the past tense. Now, let us have this one, the statement which are bold. Many students perceive that it is because of abstract reasoning, analytical, and numeracy skill. Take a look at the highlighted word, perceive. Remember that the present tense form of the verbs is used in the discussion of the RRLS. This second statement is the discussion of the RRLS. Now, how about the last statement, which is highlighted with blue? In other words, chemistry is perceived as a difficult subject among the students. What is this? This is what we call the thesis statement. Okay, another way to write synthesis is to formulate the thesis statement. Let's proceed with the techniques for writing synthesis. Peter 2009 claims that job-related stress can enhance productivity up to a certain point. There is, however, a threshold point beyond which stress becomes a harmful factor in one's productivity. On the contrary, Sounder 2010 averred that in his experience as a clinical psychologist, stresses always produce a negative effect on one's productivity. What have you noticed in the highlighted words? Stress can enhance productivity. On the contrary, Sounder, stresses always produce a negative effect. Do they have the same idea, or do they have a contrasting idea? Okay, one way or one of the techniques in writing synthesis is to use the comparing and contrasting. How about this one? Okay, let us just read the highlighted words. Unfamiliar concepts and language, ideas too hard and challenging, inadequate discussion and learning activities, topics are too mathematical, absence of motivation, interest, poor background, did not want to exert effort. How are you going to describe this? How is it written? Okay, another technique of writing synthesis is to make illustration. Okay, let's have this one. ECA 2008 stressed that low academic performance does not mean absence of development, but includes learners that can achieve successful learning outcomes. Low achievement in chemistry serve as an indicator that students encounter difficulty in understanding different learning contexts, including its application in a real-world situation. Chemistry is one of the examples of hard sciences that is being taught among the learners in junior and senior high school so that they can prepare for science-related courses offered within universities and colleges. However, if the said subject is not managed appropriately, this will affect their academic performance at higher academic degrees.